Okay, so welcome to College of DuPage. My name is Arne Anderson. I'm one of the counselors here. Been with the college for almost 20 years. In March, it'll be 20 years here. Taught here for 12 years. I've taught at Harper, Morton, Oakton, North Central College, Kishwaukee out west where it smells like a farm when you get out of your truck. I've been around. Students tell me I'm hanging on a thin thread of still being cool. Very thin because I just turned 51 and it's partly because of my MP3 list. Let's just leave it at that. We'll have a little fun in here. You know, if you can't have a little fun starting college, when's it going to happen, right? You're probably wondering why we're here. Why are we here going over information when you could be meeting with somebody like me individually and just picking your classes and being done with it and going home? Let me tell you why. On a given day, not today, enjoy the parking today. Enjoy the parking today. But on a given day, we could go around and walk up to students, and there'd be some here at COD that have in excess of 100 credits. Do you know you need 64 to graduate? I just met with a student last week who had 112 credits. 112 credits done. We live in this Jimmy John's culture, right? Freaky fast. We want to get it done. We don't want to be taking an extra year's worth of classes. So, from that standpoint, we're going to go over some information that's going to help you get off to a smart start. We're going to be covering some information here about academic preparation, some of the different degrees and certificates that we have. We're going to talk about two major types here, and some of the advising tools. The idea is you're going to develop an educational plan. So you're going to be meeting with a counselor and developing a plan of your classes for your first semester or two. And we're also going to be talking about some of the success strategies as well. So we got to start talking about testing. We use the ACT here. So if your ACT is 20 or higher, you're good to go in reading and writing. But if you have dual credit, okay, if you have a credit through your high school or if you have AP credit, make sure you let us know when you meet with us because we don't want to be putting you obviously in classes that you don't need. So we'll be discussing that when we meet with you individually. Reading, writing, and math are the tests that we do here, and remember that order: reading, writing, and math. Reading is the most important skill to be successful in college. We require a 20 ACT or higher. If your overall ACT is 20, you're good to go. If it's 19 or under, you probably already have been asked to do a reading placement test, okay? Reading is important for a lot of reasons, in part because a lot of classes require it as a prerequisite. So if you want to take psychology or history, you're going to need reading to be at category 1 for that. Writing, same thing. In fact, writing doesn't get enough attention, and I can tell you that writing affects grades. So your writing has a big impact on your grades. Reading and writing both need to be at category 1 to take a class called English 1101, okay? English 1101 is needed for any of our degrees here at the College of DuPage. We're going to talk about math, and I know I'm going to get that math look from you, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've seen the math look. First of all, you're going to get through math. We've got the Learning Commons. You could form a study group. There are a lot of things that will help a student as they're working through math. But math is going to be different depending on your situation. So if you're going into, anybody here thinking of business? Business major, okay, perfect. If a student's going into business, they're going to need more math, obviously, than somebody who's going to go into communications, let's just say. So math is going to be dependent on your ACT math isolated score. So not the overall score, but the isolated ACT score. If it's 25 or higher, you'd be good to go in a business kind of field. That's different than if someone's going to go into communications, where maybe a 23 ACT would be perfectly fine. And again, each of you is in a different situation with math, so we're going to be coaching you. We're going to be talking with you about your math and making sure that you understand what the pathway is going to be for your particular first semester or two. So math, reading, and writing are all testing, and we'll be talking at the end of this presentation. I'll be going around individually and kind of checking in with you on your test scores so that we can assess that you're ready for the next step. Good. Some of the degrees and certificates. Well, if you want to get a degree, you need around 21 to 23 classes, which is around 2 years. Let me just say this. College is about finishing, it's about quality, and it's about grades. Four-year schools are not as impressed with speed. They don't care where you're starting in math. They really don't care whether or not you work a job while you're in college. What they care about are grades and grades. So from that standpoint, I like to see students get off to a good start. That may not mean 16 credits their first semester. We'll talk with you about that. Everybody's in a different situation. But what's important is the grades and the progress that you make as a student. So keep that in mind, because if I got $1 for every time a student or a parent told me they were worried about being behind, I would be retiring now at 51. Okay? So from that standpoint, once you get into college, it doesn't really matter who's ahead or who's behind, because everybody's in a different situation. Okay? Some of you are going to change your major quite a few times. Some of you are going to work a lot. Some of you will take summer school, others of you will not. All of that stuff affects your timeline. So keep that in mind as we're kind of going through. I want to talk about these different degrees, and if you would, I want you to pull the blue and yellow sheet out that you've gathered there. And I'm going to talk about them one at a time here. We're going to start with the yellow sheet here. This AA degree, right? The AA is the Associate of Arts. There's also the Associate of Science. Now that doesn't mean you're majoring in art or you're majoring in, you're majoring in the arts in general, which could be business, it could be psychology, it could be teaching. Those are areas of the arts. The AA degree requires 64 hours if you look on the front here. 37 are what's called Gen Eds. What are Gen Eds? You hear that all the time. I want to get my Gen Eds done. We're talking about classes like English and speech and history. Those are general education courses. You're going to need 2 semesters of English and 1 of speech, and these are already kind of picked for you. You're required to have a C or higher here at COD to graduate with these classes in the communications area. And then you see your science. You see physical and you see life science. That's going to be dependent on what you're studying. So take a business major. Is our business major going to take deep second level, 2000 level physics classes or heavy chemistry as a business major? Can she? Sure. Is she likely going to do it? No, because she doesn't have to, right? She might take biology or basic earth science or chemistry. That's going to be very different than a nursing major. Any nursing majors in here? Okay, yeah, a couple of you. Is a nursing major going to take severe and unusual weather? If they want to be part of that 100 credit club, they can, right? But we're talking about anatomy and physiology, right? Where's the patella? Where's the sternocleidomastoid? I've taken A&P. I know these things. You're going to know them too when you take A&P. They're going to be taking anatomy, physiology, and chemistry. Why? Because most nursing schools, including our nursing program, want to see those completed. So your math is going to be dependent on what you're studying. And it's also going to be affected by science and math kind of go together because math prerequisites. So in order to take certain science classes, you're going to need a certain level of math. And your math correlates with your major, and so they're kind of lumped together, and we're going to coach you on both the math and the science. Then you see the middle column, humanities and fine arts. Now, when I was in college, I thought I was smart, and I took pottery. I was all excited about the clay. We wanted to go play with the clay. We were all excited about it, standing out in front of the pottery barn, talking about how it was, quote, easy. Or have you ever heard of this expression? You ever heard of this one? Blow off? Yeah. We got in there and we got to play around with the clay, and that part was fine. Here's what we weren't banking on. Learning about the history of Korean bisqueware. You guys know much about the history of Korean clay, 17th and 18th century Korean clay? Well, apparently we didn't either, because when final grades came in, I got the only B. One person got an A, 1 B, 17 C's, 4 D's, and 3 F's, because we all went in there thinking easy and thinking blow off. Let me give you a piece of advice. Try to avoid the temptation, and it will be very tempting, to ever think of a college level class as, quote, easy or hard. You'll be wrong more than you think. These are all at college level. You're probably going to have some freedom from this middle column, but we'll certainly coach you along the way. And then you see the third column, social behavioral science, some of your ologies, Psychology, sociology, anthropology, for example. Probably the most common in that grouping is psychology. You need it for nursing, you need it for business, you need it for teaching, pre-med. And actually, the three most common classes students start with, although there are exceptions to this, is psychology, speech, and English. Those are very safe to take your first semester if you're unsure of what you're going to study. Obviously, if you're going into criminal justice, you'd be taking sociology. So we're going to make some suggestions based on your individual needs. But these classes on this yellow sheet are 99% guaranteed to transfer to over 100 schools in Illinois. So if you're taking our English classes and you're transferring to Northern, it's going to go with you to Northern, just like it's going to go with you to, to Southern Illinois or Eastern or schools local as well. The AAS degree is just like the AA. The only difference is you're going to do 2 additional science and 1 additional math class, which makes sense because our nursing students are going to be doing chemistry and anatomy. So all of that needs to be in the plan for a nursing student. If you're going into engineering, you bet you're going to be taking physics probably and chemistry, right? And plenty of math. So that's going to depend on your particular major, but areas of science would be like computer science or pre-med or pharmacy. Those would be areas for the AS degree. Let's look at the blue sheet, shall we? And we'll contrast that with the yellow sheet. Since we're on a roll here, let's look at the front of the blue. This is the AAS, the Associates of Applied Science. Key word is applied. This degree is 64 hours as well. However, it requires 18 gen eds, half as many as the yellow sheet. Notice the occupational areas you see listed on the lower right. You see dental hygiene, right? Automotive, cosmetology. Most students going into dental hygiene aren't planning on going to a 4-year school. Most of them are looking to get a job right after COD. So when you see this list, and there are certainly exceptions to this, most students pursuing a technical occupational degree here are not getting a 4-year degree. We have some special programs here, 3+1 and 2+2 programs, where you can actually stay at COD and get a 4-year degree at a reduction in tuition. And if these programs are eligible for that type of partnership, we're going to let you know when we meet with you. There are also articulated agreements with select schools where you can pursue one of these Associate of Applied Science degrees and go on and transfer to a 4-year school. You just want to check with the faculty members on transferability among different schools in your particular major. But here's what I want to leave you with for now. If you're undecided or are definitely going to a 4-year school, I want you to choose classes from this sheet when you meet with a counselor. If you're sitting there thinking, I have no plans to get a 4-year degree when I'm done at COD, you'd be pursuing this AAS degree. Make sense? Good. And this is just how it breaks down with some of the gen ed requirements that we were talking about. Additional science and math would be part of the AAS degree, which makes sense because you're going into an area that's going to be needing that. A certificate is different than a degree. You're just taking a cluster of classes in order to get a certificate. This happens to be Hospitality Foundations. You complete these 4 classes and you're good to go and get that credential. Most students coming out of high school are not pursuing certificates, but there are some. I had a student who wanted to be a doctor, pre-med. She wanted to get her EMT. Okay, is an EMT required to be a doctor? No. It's going to take her a little bit longer, but she wanted to see what's it like to be out there in emergency medicine today before I decide to do all the schooling that's required to become a doctor. So certificates may be part of your study plan. We'll talk to you about that, but most of you here will probably pursue a degree. If you haven't noticed already, I kind of like my job. You know, I could be huddled up behind this computer desk here. Look at this thing. Yeah, I could put a barrier up between you guys and me. Look at that chair. Oh, isn't this comfortable? What am I thinking? I could be sitting on this comfortable chair, but I'm not. I'm out here with you guys. I like my job. Do you know I'm in the minority? Not here at COD. I talk to people outside of COD about their job. I was talking to a gentleman not too long ago. You know how he referred to his job? He referred to it as, quote, a grind. A grind. Talk to somebody else. They inherited the family business 20 years ago. Inherited the family business. Never had a passion for it. Fell in their lap. And now they wonder what happened with the last 20 years of their life. They're doing something and kind of going through the motions every day. If you can find something you can get excited about getting up in the morning to go do, even in a 93-degree day or whatever it is we're having out there today, you will find something most people never find. How do you tap into that? How do you find that? Because I got to tell you, if I'm not a little excited about you starting college, I'm the wrong guy for this job. Get someone in here who is excited. You might need some help. Here's what we know. Half of you, we'll say this half, right? Half of you are going to change your mind within the first year. We wish them well, don't we? We wish them well with their changes. We don't know if it's you. But some of you are going to change your mind, and that's okay. You might need some help. What are some of the strategies that we have here? Well, we have counselors you can meet with. Individually, we can meet with you and help you grapple with career exploration. We've got some assessments and inventories that we can use where we can figure out what makes you tick, what are you good at, right? Do you like working outside? Do you like working inside with beakers? These are important things to find out. We also have workshops where you can take part in the career tests and interest inventories as well. And we have a class called Education 1105 called Career Development. Career Development is a 2-credit class. It's on that yellow sheet. It counts toward graduation. And it will sort of give you a GPS on your career. It'll give you a sense of direction. I got to tell you, I was teaching out at Naperville, and I was doing this presentation out there, and this father was attending this session with his daughter. And like, I happen to know about 40% of my jokes are funny, okay? Maybe 40%. I was sitting here, and he was writing down everything I said. Even when I wasn't funny, he was writing that stuff down. And I was talking about this class, and I was referring it kind of like getting a GPS, getting a sense of direction. He peeps up from his papers, and he goes, excuse me, what kind of GPS would she need for that class? A Garmin or a Nuvi? Are you kidding? Does she need a TomTom? We're talking, that's a fun example where, you know what was neat to see? That father politely turned to the daughter and handed her the pen and handed her the papers and realized, hey, you're starting college. And she could write the things down, right? We're talking about getting a sense of direction, So I hope you'll participate in some of these opportunities here. How do we know what classes to help you select? Well, let's say you want to study architecture. Well, these are the classes you would need for architecture. First semester, you're going to get in several architecture courses. This is sort of like a music major or other majors where you get into your classes in your major right away. Most majors you don't. If you're a psychology major, you're going to do most of those at a 4-year school. You're not going to do most of them here. But in architecture, you're going to be building a portfolio as you go through, and you're going to be doing these classes right away. This is a semester by semester plan of what you need for architecture, and we're going to link you to this information. This is put together by faculty, and so it takes some of the guesswork out of what to take. We're going to help link you to that. When you see a course like Psychology 1100, you might see IAI after it. That stands for the Illinois Articulation Initiative. Know that this number after it, don't worry about that, but if you see IAI, just know that that's a highly transferable class. It's on that yellow sheet, and it's going to go with you about 99% guaranteed to over 100 schools in Illinois. When we meet with you, we're going to help you with this, which is an educational plan. So we're going to write on here courses you're going to need. Let's take our nursing student. What would be a good plan for her for first semester? Psychology 1100 could be a good class. Anatomy, Physiology, A&P 1571. English 1101. Math 1428. Those could be some good courses for a nursing student, and then we're also going to help you identify your path for math. So this is a 2-ply form. You're going to get a copy, and you're going to have a couple of options. You can go home and register, but what I would hope you do, since it's hot out there anyway, take advantage of being here. We have the My Access Lab available. Once you know what classes to take, you can take that list down to the My Access Lab, and they're going to help you figure out days, times, locations. And this form will help provide some structure for that. You guys morning people or afternoon? You're coming to the 2:30. You know, we start at 7 here. Classes start at 7. Any 7 a.m.ers? No? Let me tell you what some students want to do. Some students want to get here at 9 o'clock. 8's a little early. They want to get here at 9, take their classes back to back. 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock, 12:30, be done in their car by 12:45, sunglasses on, feeling good, sunroof open, hair flipped up a little because it's windy, phone out texting. I'm so glad to be done, I'm texting. I am available on Twitter. I'm super available right now. Out of sight, out of mind. 1 o'clock, out of here. Gone. Split. I leave COD at 1 o'clock. I come in at COD to COD at 1 o'clock every Thursday. I see a bunch of students leaving COD. All that means is a bunch of students have decided to leave COD at the same time. It does not mean they're A students. It does not mean they're B students. It just means they've left, which is why I'm going to sound like a used car salesman, because I want to put you in this model. It's a convertible. It's summertime. Let me shine up the chrome. Hang on. I want you to drive away with this one. Notice the students here 5 days a week, which for some of you that may or may not be possible. I recognize that. But the nerve of these successful students, the nerve of them to take English at 9 o'clock and study English right after, and do that 3 days a week, and get information into what's called reference memory. Reference memory means you've learned it and it's available on test day, right? They're not coming to my workshops on test-taking anxiety. You want to know why? They're not anxious about their tests. They're getting the stuff done here. Here's what I know from teaching here for 12 years. And I'm going to ask you to do something that's difficult. I want you to forget about the word homework. I know. I've lost it. I'm going to ask you to put that word with high school. And now that you're in college, I want you to think about it a different way. Because here's what I know. 90% or so of the work that gets done outside of class gets done on this campus, or it does not happen. When you turn your car key ignition to leave COD, your chances of getting anything done related to COD plummet. Trust me on that. Get it done here, much more likely to get it done. Leave here, much, much, much less likely to get done. So, I like to call it out-of-class responsibilities. You have responsibilities. You have a paper due September 3rd. When are you going to start it? When are you going to get your resources? All that's up to you now that you're in college. So in college, you have a management role. You're managing your classes, which is a little different than in high school. So by spreading out your classes like this, what you're doing is you're improving your odds on two fronts. One is grades and the other is retention. Grades are about how you do. A's, B's, C's, D's. Retention is about staying in school and not quitting. I know a lot of people who have some college and no degree. Some college, no degree. So I hope you'll think about your choices in how you set up these classes when you're down there meeting with a counselor. You think I can get any more passionate about this? If I knew German, I would say it in German with all the V's and F's. I don't know German, but I would. This stuff's important because a lot of this is what students are coming in to see me about. It's not about what class they're in, it's about how to make it work with their life, right? Here's what I know too. Most of us need to know what the inside of B-dubs looks like once in a while, right? Or Topgolf, or whatever is fun for you. We can't just do work in school because eventually we have to have some balance. And so it's important to think about that and your commitment to COD. I'll stop there. and we'll move on, but it's important. How many of you are going to work while you're in school? Yeah? Does this mean half-time? Half-time? Part-time? How much are they paying for jobs these days? How much? $9, $10 an hour. Is that good money? $9, $10 an hour? My first job, I got paid a half a cent. 1/2 a penny a newspaper. We know what we used to do? We used to take newspapers. It sounds like a crazy idea. We used to take newspapers and roll them up and put rubber bands on them, and we used to rubber band them to doorknobs, including the ones with the big dogs that scared the out of me every time. I got a half a cent for those houses. I was 9 years old and I made $25 a month. I have worked ever since. Minimum wage was 3 1/4 when I was in high school. It's 8 1/4 now. But is that good money? How much are you getting paid for this session? Natalie told you you're getting paid, right? This hour should be worth something to you, shouldn't it? You're in college now. Upstairs, did they tell you I had the blue wallet or the white wallet? I got the white wallet. We should start doling out some cash, but to be polite, I think we should start with the ladies and work down. Don't you think, guys? Yeah. They didn't tell you guys up there. You should be getting paid now. This is embarrassing. I have ones. Do you have money in there?
Not really.
You don't have money?
No.
I can't pay all of you right now. I want to. You are getting paid, but I have ones right now. It's embarrassing. They have figured out what you are getting paid, though. Bear with me. They have figured out how many hours you're going to be in college, and they have figured out how much money you're going to make because you're going to graduate and graduate from COD and make more money than if you didn't. And they've figured out what every hour is actually worth to you. $30 an hour, is that good money? $30? Show me the money. Show me the money, cha-ching. Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. Thought I was done? Ching. We can't get enough money in this culture, can we? We can't get enough money in this culture. How about 60 an hour? How about $60 an hour? Now we're talking? I see some nodding. Try 90. You are making approximately $90, give or take for inflation, last time I checked. You're making around $90 an hour sitting in this comfortable room. You're going to make $90 an hour when you're taking a test, when you're driving to COD, when you're doing things related to getting your degree here. Do you know I've been in school most of my life and I'm not making 90 an hour right now. Do you know if I were making 90 an hour, I'd be doing these all night. I'd come in, I'd probably be tired. I'd come in at 2 in the morning, right? I'd be propped up, I'd be pretty tired. Bring another one in, Natalie. I got another one in me. I got another one in me. $90 an hour, 2 in the morning. Now, think about your jobs. Can they pay you enough to work right now? Probably not. Probably not. As valuable as work experience is, they probably can't pay you enough to work right now. I recognize some of you have to work, but there are a surprising number of students at COD that choose to work, that don't have to work, and there's a big difference between those two. If you are going to work, let me give you a formula that I've seen work for about 95% of the students here at COD. And that formula is, if you're going to work 40 hours, I recommend 1 class a semester. If you're going to work 30, I recommend 2, maybe 3 classes your first semester. If you're going to work 20 hours a week, up to 4 classes. Get A's and B's, put your foot on the gas. Get B's and C's, don't put your foot on the gas. That's the best advice I can give you. Grades will set the pace for how long you're at COD. Because here's what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to graduate, and you're going to want to be able to say to yourself, where do I want to go? Not who's taking me in. That is driven by grades. right? As far as who you should choose for your instructor, I got to tell you, there's Rate My Professor. If 9 students say bring a pillow, you might want to bring a pillow, okay? But that's not hard and fast science on that website. I got to tell you, there's something also to be said for the luck of the draw. Because here's why. It's important to have relationships with different kinds of professors, with different personalities. Some of them know what an MP3 is. They know who Brian Bickle is. Some don't. That's okay. Means you can still learn from them. But here's what's not going to happen. You're not going to graduate from COD, and you're not going to, quote, withdraw from your first job when you graduate, not in this economy. You're going to stay in that first job. And guess what? Your first boss might be a lot like that economics teacher that you were thinking about giving up on first week of class. But now you know how to deal with that economics teacher because you stuck it in there and you learned how to work with different personalities. So it's important to talk to other students, and certainly the staff can help guide you, but there is no hard and fast rule as far as who you should take as an instructor. We're going to coach you on this time management as we meet with you. How does this play out? Well, a credit hour is 1 hour of instruction. So if you're in Psychology 1100, you're going to be taking 3 hours a week. You can do that 1 day a week. You might take that class 2 days a week for an hour and a half rather, or 3 days a week for 50 minutes. All the same to make the 3 hours. Most of your classes are 3 hours. Your science is 4 to 5 hours. Foreign language is 4 hours. Your math is anywhere from 3 to 5 hours. I would encourage you with math to try and spread that out. Take that math class as many days of the week as you can. That would be a suggestion. Thank you, and good luck to everybody.